Good morning. It's time to get in touch. In Touch is a public affairs show dedicated to improving the lives of Susquehanna Valley residents. I'm Freddi Hammer, news director at Backyard Broadcasting. Well, Punxsutawney Phil did predict an early spring, and whether it arrives on time or not, Master Gardeners of Lycoming County are working hard all year long, planning for prime growing season, which isn't far away, and we're about to leap into spring with a good mini-symposium with the Lycoming County Master Gardeners. So today on In Touch, we're going to find out more about them from Michael Flanagan, who's the chairman of the Leap into Spring Symposium coming up on February 29th. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Freddie.
Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you for getting us in.
Now, you're a biology teacher, so you can teach us about the science of being a gardener, right?
I was, and yeah, that's the whole idea.
Great stuff all year long you guys do as far as getting ready, giving us information, helping people become master gardeners, I suppose.
We have a lot of services that we offer all year long. Biggest one, the hotline.
Oh, people want to ask questions.
We get an awful lot of those questions, and people are saying, I have this bug that's eating my roses.
Right.
I happen to be on the hotline committee also.
Okay.
So we take turns fielding these questions and coming up with answers and providing research-based answers. Our preferred sources, of course, are always universities and research facilities. And we team up. We don't exactly team up. We use resources from other extension offices. And
from universities.
From, yes. Cornell, Michigan State, Penn, of course, Penn State.
Sure.
Since we are part of the Penn State Extension.
So would you say the Master Gardener's mission in Lycoming County is just to create a community of gardening?
Yes, very much so. Our mission stems from the original mission. If you go back to 1862, the federal government wanted to encourage education in agriculture and sciences. So they started something called land-grant universities. And Penn State is the land-grant university in Pennsylvania. They were given federal lands from the government to sell to pay for and finance the original universities.
Oh.
So instead of, Harvard and Yale, who were doing the quote-unquote classical education, the idea was to drive the needs of the states and the country based on the Industrial Revolution, which was happening at that time.
What a brilliant vision.
Yeah. And 100 years later, it's still going strong.
Wow.
In 1972, the first Master Gardeners group, they did a trial run in Tacoma, Washington. The Master Gardeners in Pennsylvania actually started 10 years later in 1982, and we've been going strong ever since.
I love that there are so many options for people. If you're a bug person, you can get involved there. If you're growing tomatoes from seeds, all kinds of things that you guys have begun because of the base that began so long ago.
Yep. In every class, we have course evaluations, and one of the things is, what other classes or programs would you like to see us offer? And tomatoes kept coming up. Nobody was doing it, so I just started doing my research and dug in, and so that was presented yesterday, as a matter of fact. We will be teaching the symposium on the 29th, next Sunday. The 5 classes that we have are, I think, really good. Kathy Lehman is going to teach people about how to force bulbs.
Okay.
Tulips, daffodils, amaryllis, I think, is the third one she's doing. But
they need to be coaxed.
Yes. Well, we call it forcing, but yeah, coaxing works.
Make it nice.
Kathy is going to teach this class, and people are going to actually leave. We call it a make and take. They're actually going to leave with a plate of bulbs that they have set up for forcing, and they're going to force their bulbs and have flowers growing in their house, for the Easter weekend, which is when everybody wants to see fresh flowers coming. And these are 3 sessions. The other make and take is glass artwork in the garden.
Oh.
And Anastasia Lentz is doing that for us. And basically, she is taking glassware and creating flowers, mobiles, whatever springs to mind to put in your garden, and they reflect light, and it's very attractive. We have some of them up in the demonstration garden each year up there in Lysock View.
That's where all the activities and events happen if you're involved with Master Gardeners, unless it's announced differently.
Most of them, yes. We do have a group that do volunteer time down at the farmers market on Saturday mornings.
At corner of Hepburn and Little League Boulevard.
Yes.
And that kicks off April 18th.
Yep, and it runs through until the end of whenever the farmers market shuts down.
Okay. That address, by the way, for the gardens at Lysock View is 542 County Farm Road in Montoursville, where the second Saturday of each month, Master Gardeners are there answering questions in person.
When we first came up with this symposium idea, it's called Leap into Spring because this happens to be a leap year and
Right.
it's being done on February 29th. They have the Kids' Day in the garden.
Uh-huh.
The sensory garden's probably the big draw up there.
Right.
And people just go in and the different smells, the colors, the textures. And, we encourage people to bring their kids up there and let them wander and let them look through and see what's going on. There is this huge wooden teepee on the side of the demonstration gardens. Mm-hmm. It was built as an Eagle Scout project from one of the Boy Scouts in this area.
Nice.
Very attractive. It's really cool to go up there and just sit.
Do you have a garden at home, or do you dedicate all of your time to the garden at the Lysock View?
I'm a vegetable gardener.
Okay.
I'm not so much of a flower gardener type. Vegetables and herbs also.
Okay.
My wife, she plants everything.
Okay.
I started vegetable gardening when I was like 14 years old. My first love, obviously, tomatoes. The number one vegetable to grow in the country, by the way.
I bet you have a great canning room.
And this year, our garden should produce enough that we're going to start, putting up some salsa, some tomato sauce, freezing some vegetables. You can't beat being able to go out to the garden and pick your salad straight out of the garden. The symposium, getting back to that.
Coming up this Sunday.
Yes.
Next Sunday. It's a week away.
Coming up on February 29th.
And I should say many of the programs are free, but this particular one does have a fee.
It's a small fee, but then again, you're getting 2 make and takes to go with you.
Right.
Because you will have the forced bulbs from Kathy's class, and participants will also leave with a piece of glass work for their garden themselves, and you're getting food.
Do you have to register?
Yeah, it does have a registration fee. The address is on here, extension.psu.edu/Lycoming/events.
I'll put that on our website when we put this on the internet and on our backyard broadcast.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah.
People do need to pre-register. This particular event is not something that you can show up at the door and get a seat.
Okay.
Now, most of our programs are open to the public to show up anytime.
Such as if you headed out on a second Saturday, you wouldn't need to register to talk to a master gardener out at the Lysock View Garden.
Oh, heavens no. And I'm constantly amazed when I go to the meetings and I hear people talking about their gardens at home and all the things they have. And then they come into a meeting with a 5-gallon bucket full of bulbs or rhizomes from they've been thinning out their plants in the fall, and they're just giving away.
It's the extras.
The stuff they've got. I've got 3 5-gallon buckets at home. I don't need these. Here, take them. And so it's a great social group.
Sure.
On top of being a valuable resource for Lycoming County gardeners.
So these meetings are the ones that we're talking about on the Penn State Extension flyer that you gave me, which has every date coming up for the end of the year. That's wonderful. Lots of ways you can find out more coming up in the spring. But this Sunday, Leap into Spring, the Mini-Symposium, 5 classes with refreshments and prizes. You're doing a silent auction?
We have a bunch of valuable stuff that has been donated to us. Master Gardeners is a volunteer organization. We get no funding at all from Penn State. We just get to use their name.
Okay.
We provide this resource, but the office materials, the stuff we use for these programs and stuff, they have to be paid for somehow. So for this symposium, members went around. They asked people to donate goods that we could put in, make gift baskets up, and people are going to be able to do that. We also have door prizes coming in. Everybody who registers and gets in is going to have a pamphlet when they show up. And included in that pamphlet is going to be some seeds as well.
Ooh.
It's the luck of the draw.
You have to have good friends and swap.
Well, swap them off. Yeah,
Sure.
Everybody gets to, and that's a good thing because then you get to meet other people who are interested in gardening as well. And those people actually become a resource for you as well. This is all about building community. The other programs that we have during this symposium, my class for that day is on biodiversity and the importance of maintaining alternate strains of vegetables and foodstuffs for our food stream. In the 1850s, Ireland underwent the potato blight. And most people know that this happened. Well, the reason is, at the time, the Irish people were growing 2 strains of potatoes.
Okay.
That's it. This blight came in. It just so happened to affect both types of potatoes.
Okay.
So the potato crops in Ireland were devastated for over a decade. So you look at the heirloom varieties.
Right.
Okay. The ones that have been around for 150, 200 years. People have saved seeds. Maintaining those species as, part of our biodiversity will prevent a devastating thing like that potato famine that happened in Ireland. So that's why I'm teaching that class. We have actually we're teaming up with the Lycoming County Audubon Society.
Oh, good.
Is coming in, and they're going to teach a class on planting for the birds. So that you go outside and you don't only see starlings. You see cardinals and, woodpeckers and chickadees and everything. I can't even begin to name all the birds.
The Audubon people will, though, for sure.
Yes, they will. And the Audubon people are bringing in some of their resources. They're bringing in pamphlets and booklets to hand out, and they're going to teach a class for an hour on planting your garden for the birds. And then our final one is Lisa Strauss coming in again, and she's doing plant propagation. My grandmother was a master at plant propagation.
Okay.
But she was a little embarrassing because she would go through the grocery store and she would take cuttings.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Like from the celery?
No,
okay.
like from the flowers and the plants. And she'd say, oh, I don't have that one. And a clip and it would drop into her pocketbook. And the next time you came to visit her, she'd have 3 or 4 of them growing on the windowsill in the kitchen.
That's amazing.
Learning how to propagate them. I did that just before I left the schools this year. Somebody at the office had donated this huge Christmas cactus. And sometime during the week, somebody had knocked a branch off and was just laying there on the shelf next to the plant. Propagating a Christmas cactus turns out to be a fairly easy thing to do.
That's good.
So I did what was necessary. And Christmas this year, the class of freshmen that I left all got, if they wanted it, they could all have a little Christmas cactus that I had grown for them. And Lisa's going to teach them how.
Well, wonderful. That's the 5th class. So there's 5 classes. The Leap into Spring Mini-Symposium coming up next Sunday, and that's happening at the Lysock View Gardens, which is actually at 542 County Farm Road in Montoursville. And we can register online at extension.psu.edu/Lycoming/events or call toll free 1-877-345-0691.
Yes. It starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. And we have it broken up classes at 9, 10, and 11. At 12 o'clock, we're going to do the drawings for door prizes, and we're going to award the silent auction prizes. But basically, one location is going to have 3 classes, 9, 10, and 11, of Kathy's forcing bulbs. There will be another room with 3 separate classes throughout the day of the glasswork. At 9 o'clock, the biodiversity and vegetable gardening. The 10 o'clock class will be the Audubon Society, and the 11 o'clock class will be plant propagation.
Well, Michael Flanagan, thank you for letting us know about the Lycoming County Master Gardener programs for 2020 and the Leap into Spring Mini-Symposium. So wonderful to hear all this. I mean, there's so much more. It's like a whole year of wonderful plants and plantings and people and everything.
When we set up the programming committee, our goal was to have at least 2 programs for every month. There are some months where there are significantly more than that, especially if you count the farmer's market and what's growing on in the garden. And
also be able to find things on Facebook at Lycoming County Master Gardeners.
Yes.
As well as the website that we talked about, which is extension.psu.edu with other extensions there.
Yep.
Well, Michael Flanagan, wonderful to speak with you today on InTouch.
Well, thank you, Freddie. And anytime that you want information about any of these programs, you can drop an email to the Lycoming County Master Gardeners, which I think is lycomingmg@psu.edu, which is also a way that they can contact the hotline.
Have questions about your roses.
Yep.
Or your tomatoes.
You can also bring samples in. We have people do this a lot, where they just show up at the extension offices and they have they've clipped a branch off of their tree, or they've brought in, a plant. And that's where the hotline people come in again.
Okay.
And we just basically research it and get back to you.
Well, happy spring.
Yes. Leaping into it.
We'll see you next time. I'm certainly putting you on my list of resources for questions about my garden.
Thank you. Be happy to come back.
InTouch is locally produced in our studios at 1685 4 Mile Drive in Williamsport. To get in touch with us regarding questions, comments, or topic ideas, call weekdays between 8 and 5, 570-323-8200. You can also write to us at 1685 4 Mile Drive in Williamsport, PA, 17701, attention Freddi Hammer, or email me at fhammer@backyardbroadcasting.com. For archived programs of our InTouch series, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Backyard Broadcasting. Each current weekly program is featured on the Backyard Broadcasting websites. Thanks for listening to InTouch, a production of Backyard Broadcasting.